Hello, just a friendly disclaimer before we begin this video. Everything that I am sharing here is just all my own opinion. Your opinion will likely differ, and that is okay. We are all allowed to have our own opinions, and we are allowed to have differing opinions. If you hate Starfield, that is just fine. I understand. If you love Starfield, awesome, then we might agree. But if we don't agree, that is okay. I'm just here sharing my own opinions and my own perspective as somebody who actually loves the game. Alright, let's get into it. Hey everyone, it's Raz here, and inevitably every single time I open OBS and my camera turns on, Katniss shows up. It's almost like she knows that I'm about to do a video or I'm about to start streaming, so she's just gonna be here while we do this video. But anyway, we haven't done a spicy video game opinion in a really long time, and I thought it was high time I did one, because we have been playing a lot of Starfield lately, and it just kind of got my thoughts churning a little bit, and I wanted to talk about the controversy around Starfield, and why people hate it, and why I generally don't agree with those people. So, at the end of this video, I actually went through and I picked out a couple Steam reviews, negative reviews, and I kind of picked them apart. So stay tuned to the end of the video for when I go through the Steam reviews and kind of share my own opinions. But first off, I want to start off the video by saying that I do think that the improvements that Bethesda has made to the game have been fantastic. I do agree that the maps started off pretty atrocious. It wasn't game breaking for me. It was frustrating, but to me, it wasn't super game breaking because I can't read a freaking map anyway in the first place. Like, okay, I'm terrible at it. In-game maps just don't do it for me. No matter what, I'm gonna get lost. So yeah, I do like that they added the maps, but I still cannot find my way around New Atlantis, no matter how many maps there are, no matter how detailed it is. I never do my business in New Atlantis because I can never find my way around. So that all being said, oh yeah, and then the vehicle too. The vehicle I think is a great improvement. I wasn't one of the people who was crying for one. I was doing just fine running around. I think it is a really cool way to go from point A to point B. But yeah, I think that the vehicle is also a nice added improvement, even though I wasn't really one of the people that was like, oh hey, we need this. Anyway, so I can stop holding onto my mic now because Katniss is not going to push it away. So first off, I'm going to kind of go through the main complaints about the game and kind of share my own opinion on those complaints. And so let's just get into it. The first complaint people have about Starfield is the NPCs. I see a lot of people saying that the NPCs are ugly, that they talk too much, that the dialogue is boring, all of that other sort of stuff. And I sort of agree and I disagree with this one. I think a lot of the shop NPCs do have a little bit of bloated dialogue, but that's kind of up in the air for me because I enjoy learning about NPC, like the backstory of different NPCs. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy dialogue. I enjoy all of that. It makes me feel so much more immersed in the world. It makes it feel so much more real for me. And sometimes it does get annoying if I'm just trying to buy something and the NPC's telling me their life story. Like, yes, it does get a little annoying sometimes, but it's not one of those things where it makes me so mad that it makes me hate the game. I don't know. I just really don't think it's the end of the world. As far as the NPCs being ugly, I could not disagree with that more. There are some hotties in Starfield, okay? Like Andrasia, like, excuse me, hello. Sam Delgado, which I'm just gonna plug in here. I am writing a fan fiction about Delgado, so I will post links to my Twitter where I will be posting the fan fiction is done. I'm just editing it right now, so yeah, just stay tuned for that. But yeah, there are some good looking people in the game, and even some NPCs that are not romanceable, even some random side characters. Like, they be looking good. Like, yes, there's some not so good looking ones in the game too, but like people saying that all the NPCs are ugly, like, come on. Come on. All right, the next complaint that a lot of people have is they say that the main storyline is boring and all of the side quests are boring. I could not disagree more. I found the main storyline to be actually quite interesting. I really enjoyed it. I don't know, I have always been the type of person that likes being the chosen one. I eat that shit up. I eat that up so much. Like, I want to be the chosen one. I want to have all of the powers. I want to be special. Like, maybe that's just the Leo in me talking. Like, I gotta be special. I gotta be the center of attention. And I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm fully aware of that. So I love being the chosen one, which is also why I liked Skyrim so much. Because in Skyrim, you're literally the chosen one. You are the big deal. Everybody wants to know who you are. And I love that so much. And a lot of people complain about hunting for the powers and the temples. And it's easy. Like, I don't understand the complaint. Like, one thing that I kind of found a little bit annoying in Skyrim, as much as I love the game, was how you had to go through this entire cave system and like fight all these Draugr or whatever just to get like a word of power. Like, that got so annoying after a while. And I understand that there are some word walls where you just like walk up to it and it's like there, but maybe you have to fight a dragon. But like, hunting for the powers was not that big of a deal to me. Like, that's something that I don't understand. Like, I never really minded hunting for the powers. I'm to the point in the game where, you know, my goal is to get all of them, and I'm not dreading that. I'm not like, oh my god, I have to go look for these powers. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. Like, I don't know. I don't understand that. That's a complaint that I don't understand because I find it really easy and really simple. Like, it's really no big deal. It's easy and you just go do it. So yeah, and then the side quests, there's a lot of really interesting and fascinating side quests. Like, the Crucible side quest really got me going. Obviously, all of the major faction quest lines I found to be really interesting. I really genuinely had a ton of fun doing not only the main storyline, but all of the side quests too. There really wasn't one that I think I didn't enjoy, really. Except for maybe Ryujin. I loved the concept of Ryujin. I worked in corporate America for so long, and there is so much that they got that was so accurate in there. It made me feel like I was back in corporate America. But there seemed to be I seemed to experience some bugs in that quest where even though I was sneaking and nobody saw me, like, they would be detecting me like through walls and stuff. So that was the only quest that kind of pissed me off because just because I was getting like detected through walls and stuff. But speaking of bugs, I see some people complaining about the bugs in Starfield, and I honestly really have not experienced, besides the one where people were detecting me through walls during Ryujin, I really have not experienced any bugs at all, really. Like, and if I have, like, they were just minor ones where I just like reloaded an earlier save and it fixed itself. Whereas, like, I remember playing through Skyrim, my first time playing through Skyrim, I couldn't even finish the College of Winterhold questline because I actually didn't know that I had encountered a bug. The Archmage's body was supposed to spawn like out in the courtyard, and it never happened for me, so I thought the quest was over and I moved on with my life. And then like 15 levels later, I realized that quest was supposed to continue after the Archmage died, and I had no idea. So I haven't ever encountered anything that game-breaking. I thought that Bethesda did a lot better job with the bugs. I know some people had a different experience, and I'm not trying to discount that experience, but yeah, I have not ever had to open the console to fix something, which is wild to me. Usually I have to do that. And I'm really glad that I haven't had to open the console because then that messes up your achievements. So I've been able to get all my achievements, and I don't know. But yeah, not too many bugs, and I genuinely did have a lot of fun with all of the quests and visiting all of the different planets. And I thought all the, the different major planets are all really interesting and stuff. So yeah, that's the next. All right, so the next complaint that people have are the procedurally generated planets. And to this is one that I both agree and disagree with. I agree that a lot of the planets are a little homogenous and that you see a lot of similar alien life and similar environments. But again, I don't super have a problem with that. I guess it's because I genuinely enjoy going around and scanning. I really do. And a lot of people are going to disagree with that. A lot of people hate it. They think it's boring. I find it to be incredibly meditative. I find it to be incredibly calming. Like sometimes I just want to do something mindless. Like I literally just want to like run around and explore. And I love the challenge of having to land on different parts of the planet in order to discover like all of the different flora and fauna and unique things about these planets. Like, I don't know, sometimes I just want a break from, you know, questing or combat, and I just want to do something that just kind of calms my mind and kind of centers me. It's almost like a meditation for me. It's almost like very meditative going around and scanning these planets. I find it to be extremely soothing. It's just nice to just run around and just do something simple. I like the simple things. And maybe that's like the RuneScape player in me talking, because RuneScape is all about like, you know, doing extremely simple repetitive tasks over and over and over until you gain levels. So I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just the way my brain is wired, but I enjoy simple repetitive tasks that don't really require all that much brain power because I find it to be very meditative. So I do agree and disagree that I do think there could be more variety in the planets, but also you have to remember that Starfield was never meant to be a space exploration game. That was not ever the intention. The planets are just a bonus, and the scanning is just a bonus, in my opinion. So I really think that I think people can kind of calm down on that, because Starfield is not, like, the main focus of the game is not the planet exploration. So yes, agree and disagree with this one. Could be more variety, but I don't mind it as is. It's not really all that game breaking for me. All right. This is the one where this last opinion, before we get into the Steam reviews, I will die on this hill forever, and you will not change my opinion on this. I'm a big space nerd, okay? I have never played a space game before, but I love space in real life. When I was growing up, I loved reading about space. I loved learning about like black holes and light years and traveling through space and all this other sort of stuff. It just fascinated me so much. And this complaint, when I heard it, got me so mad that I was like, do you not understand anything? It's the space travel. So many people complained about how, oh, you just jump from place to place to place. You can't just like drive your ship. You can't just like fly through space. Do you even know how long a light year is? Do you even know how long a light year is? Okay? If you don't know what a light year is, it means it would take you 1 year to go somewhere traveling at the speed of light, okay? Which is something that no one knows how to do. We can't even get the Large Hadron Collider to go the speed of light, okay? Like, there's nothing on Earth that can artificially replicate the speed of light. Nothing, okay? And the fact that people think that they would want their ship to be able to travel the speed of light. Think of this. The distance between let's just say, I'm not going to use a specific example. Let's say the difference between Star System A in Starfield and Star System B is 5 light years. That's pretty short, right? Do y'all want to be sitting in your chairs for 5 years while your ship travels from one star system to the other? You want to be sitting here for 5 years, okay? Because nothing in the universe travels faster than light as we know now. And I understand why Bethesda, who worked with NASA on this, decided to not to introduce a mechanic that makes your ship travel faster than the speed of light. I 100,000% agree that they decided to not go that route, and I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill that people should not have discovered how to travel faster than light, because then they would have to explain that. Okay, they would have to somehow explain how we discovered how to travel faster than the speed of light. Grav jumping is not traveling faster than the speed of light. There might be some minor spoilers ahead, so just a heads up. Grav jumping is using a special kind of gravity technology to pull you essentially through like a wormhole and immediately like appear in the next part of space, kind of like A Wrinkle in Time. So if you've ever seen A Wrinkle in Time, I'm trying to find something that I can demo this with. Okay, I've got a charging cable here. If you've ever seen A Wrinkle in Time, here's how they described it. Your ship is here. 5 light years away is here. Here's how A Wrinkle in Time works. All of that space gets bent underneath you, and you just fold it in half here, and you can go from point A to point B. That is how A Wrinkle in Time worked, and that is kind of how I imagine that they imagined grav jumping to work, is you are point A, point B, you use some kind of technology to crumple this space in between you so that you can arrive there instantly. So I 100% agree that they decided to go that route, because sitting in your chair for however long while you wait for your spaceship to travel literal light years, like, I will forever die on this hill, and I will forever agree on their decision to use grav jumping and a sort of like Wrinkle in Time approach to space travel. Even though it is a science fiction world, I feel like they have to remain like at least a little bit grounded, okay? Like, but I will say I do like that they got rid of the amount of loading screens. That was another one that didn't super bother me, but once they got rid of that, I definitely noticed a major difference, and I definitely do enjoy the new fast travel system. Okay, now we've reached the part where we're going to go through some Steam reviews, and we're going to pick them apart a little bit. Okay, so this first one mentions something really specific that I think is just like kind of hilarious, and it kind of ties back into what I was talking about with like the light year travel. This is just a snippet of one review. Like, there's more to this review, but this is just one part of the review that I wanted to pull out. It says, zero gravity environments are ridiculous, with every character locked in the exact same orientation as they would be were gravity to be in effect. The only difference between environments with or without gravity is whether the player can freely move upwards and downwards, blah, 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 blah. Could you... First of all, I understand where this person is coming from. If you're on your ship and you dock at a space station and your ship is literally sideways, and then you move into the space station and the space station is like completely oriented a different way, like, I understand where they're coming from, but like, could you imagine how annoying it would be if you were just in zero gravity all the time? Like, I don't know, that would just get really, really old after a while. And I feel like nobody would be enjoying that. Like, I understand that, but I think in practice for a video game, I think that would be really annoying. I think I'm gonna allow the fantasy of like each individual like spaceship and space station like having their own gravity, just because I think, again, in practice, in a video game, I think that people would get tired of that really, really fast. And I don't think it's really all that immersion breaking, in my opinion. It's like, I understand where this person is coming from, but in practice in the video game, I don't think it would work out like that. All right, next one. This one is super long, and I couldn't screenshot the whole thing because it was just too long. So we're gonna go through it. It's not a bad game, it's just very mediocre. Which leads me to the polarizing viewpoints. I would rate it a meh is possible. Functions for the most part, has some slivers of decent side content, but never does pull through to become something brilliant. The main story and characters are pretty lacking. As we already mentioned, I disagree with this. I think the characters are incredibly immersive. I enjoy them. I love talking to them. There are some characters where like I wish I knew them in real life. Tain Salavea being one of them, Rokov being another. Like, I just wish I knew them in real life because I found them to be so interesting. The bugs often ruin immersion or straight up break the game. Again, I have not experienced this at all. I haven't even experienced like missing key NPCs. That has not happened to me at all. Main thing does better than its predecessors is a shipbuilding. Yes, the shipbuilding is pretty awesome. This has limited utility because the ship combat in this game is very shallow, and eventually you have a ship that can cheese through whatever ship encounters, even on extreme difficulty. I'm not too sure about that. I haven't really experienced anything like that. I think the ship combat is really, really fun. I think it's really engaging. I like the first time I went into a ship battle, I was literally screaming. I was having so much fun. I was like, oh my god, this is Star Wars! Like, I felt like I was in a Star Wars, like, real life movie. I felt like I was in a Star Wars movie. I was so freaking excited during my first ship battle. And even the first time that I got the ship, when they just literally, like, hand you a ship, like, right away, first in the game, I lost my mind. Let me tell you, I lost my mind. Otherwise, in most respects, it's worse than the games that came before it. Disagree with that. Pretty much failing to allow you to roleplay in a role-playing game? Okay, this is bizarre to me because in Starfield, you have a whole, like, backstory. Your character has this whole backstory that actually affects how you play the game. And you can get different dialogue options as you go through it, and certain choices that you make before you get in the game actually affect you. So this I disagree with. Allowing you to, I felt like Skyrim is one of my all-time favorite games, but I felt more immersed in roleplay in Starfield than I ever did in Skyrim. And that's saying something because Skyrim's probably one of my top all favorite games. Game is better with mods. I have not installed a single mod. Like, being updated, modders gave up, blah, 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 blah. Developer attitude to this game is incredibly poor. I have seen a little bit of discourse of that, so I'm not going to disagree with that. I think the devs definitely reacted poorly to the initial criticism. There's a bug in this game, so it doesn't give you a ship after you finish a long quest chain. I actually don't know which quest he's talking about. I haven't experienced that at all. This game caters to a specific fantasy, and if you fall into that category of people who want to play as roaming rogue that uses their ship as a mobile base, this will be up your alley. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely love to roam around on my ship and use my ship as a mobile base. Like, that to me, like, having your own spaceship that you can customize however you want and just do all that, like, that is just everything to me. Otherwise, if you are a fan of traditional space games, blah, 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 it's very lacking in spaceship combat management. I don't know, like, I don't think it's really fair to compare Starfield to other space games because it is kind of like its own thing. Like, for example, like, I play a lot of fantasy games, but I don't really compare each fantasy game to another. One thing I will compare to is I will compare MMOs to each other, just because I think that MMOs in general should follow, like, a certain formula. To an extent. Like, obviously they can differ in good ways and in bad, but I don't think it's fair to compare Starfield to other space games that have entirely different systems, entirely different stories, entirely different, like, they're just different games. Like, the only thing they have in common is space. So I don't think that's super fair, especially for someone like me who this is really my first space game. I think it's freaking amazing. Like, and I, as someone who plays a lot of fantasy, I never, like, when I first started playing Skyrim, I never really compared Skyrim to really anything else. Even all the fantasy games that I played before then, I never really compared it to anything else. World of Warcraft, when I first started playing World of Warcraft, I sort of compared it to a couple things, like, but for the most part, I understood that World of Warcraft is its own game, so I don't know. I think comparison is the thief of joy in this situation. If you want to be a ground pounder, settlement administrator, then play the Fallout games instead, because the boots on the ground combat outpost management is incredibly shallow and lackluster. I don't know. I'm not too sure what to think of the outposts because I haven't really, like, dug into it a whole lot. I have made a few of them. But I don't think I can really have an opinion on that because that's not something that I really focused on. If you want no guardrails RPG, then play Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim instead, because in this game most of the content puts you on a railroad and the perks are incredibly bland and fail to provide any interesting. I don't know. I disagree with that. Like I said before, I love Skyrim. And I think that Skyrim does some things better than Starfield, but I also think that Starfield does some things better than Skyrim. So again, this review was too long for me to screenshot the whole thing, but that's just kind of what I decided to pick apart from there. All right, last one. Okay, so this one says, many were excited for Starfield, ultimately feels like a disappointment. The massive universe it promises come across as shallow. I disagree with that, with most planets offering little more than repetitive empty landscapes. I also disagree with that. We kind of already went through that. Yes, the planets are a little repetitive, but for the most part, it doesn't bother me. But yeah, but planets like Neon and, or cities like Neon and New Atlantis and Aquila City, like, I think they're extremely varied, and I think they're extremely interesting in how different they operate. You land on planets expecting something exciting, only to find barren environments or the same generic resources scattered around. I mean, sort of. I mean, it's honestly, like, what are you expecting? Are you expecting, like, there to be incredible, like, super advanced, like, alien cities? Like, I don't know what this person, not really sure what this person is expecting. Occasionally stumble upon an outpost or a small settlement. Rarely makes it feel more alive or engaging. I mean, it's space. Space is mostly empty. There's mostly nothing in space. So again, it just goes back to my previous opinion where, like, I don't think the planets are bad. I don't think it's terrible. Again, Starfield was never meant to be a space exploration game. That's not what it's about. That's not the main focus. Feels like filler rather than rewarding exploration a spacefaring adventure should offer. Again, Starfield is not a space exploration game, okay? That's not what it is. It feels like filler. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of filler. Like, it's a bonus thing that you can do. It's optional. You don't have to scan these planets. You don't have to. Like, you could literally go the entire game. Like, I think maybe there's, like, one side quest where you have to survey a planet, but, like, it's never a requirement. Main story's okay, but fails to captivate, drowned out by repetitive fetch quests and dull side missions. I completely disagree. I thought all of the quests were really interesting, and I was really absorbed into it. Missions lack creativity, turning into chores that drag down any excitement the narrative tries to build. Again, I completely disagree with that. You end up running errands for NPCs who are underdeveloped. Again, I disagree. I do not think the NPCs are underdeveloped at all whatsoever. In fact, I think that they are more developed than in previous installations. Even the dialogue and decision-making system falls short, feeling like a step back compared to what modern RPGs should offer. I sort of agree with that to an extent. Some of the decisions you make do have an impact. The one thing I will agree with is Constellation's reaction to literally everything. That if you want to, spoilers ahead, just FYI, for Ryujin and Crimson Fleet, if you decide to agree with Ryujin's neuroamp technology, all of Constellation hates it. And if you agree to join the Crimson Fleet, again, Constellation hates it. And I don't know, I just found that really disappointing because, like, I kind of want to be, like, I often play morally gray characters, where some decisions I make are, like, for good and some are, like, for more evil. It really all depends. Like, honestly, I just pick whatever I think is going to be most advantageous to me as a player. So, and that's why I chose the Crimson Fleet, because you get access to the key, and then the Ryujin neuroamp, you get this cool, like, thing in your head that allows you to manipulate people, which I think is really cool, and it actually really does come in handy during the game. So yeah, I do agree somewhat with the decisions, but, like, your decisions do have an impact, okay? They definitely do. Where did we leave off? Combat is functional but unremarkable. I completely disagree, and I will die on this hill. I think the combat is fucking amazing. Gunplay is basic. Again, I disagree. Limited weapon variety and enemies that rarely pose a challenge. I don't want enemies to pose a challenge. I don't like when games piss me off. Okay, my cat is... Sorry, my cat is sitting on my mouse, so... Okay, where did we leave off? I'm gonna zoom into this a little bit. Okay. Gunplay is basic with limited weapon variety, enemies that rarely pose a challenge. I don't want enemies to pose a challenge. I want to have a good time. I'm here for the story. I'm not here. If I want to go play a shooter game, I'll go play Halo, or I'll go play COD, okay? I'm not here for a challenging fight every single time. Space combat, which should have been a standout feature, also feels underwhelming. I could not disagree more. I was literally screaming in pure joy when I first started space combat. Simplistic experience seems more like an afterthought than a core part of the game. Completely disagree. Much touted space travel mechanics, one of the game's major selling points, ends up feeling like nothing more than glorified loading screens. I think no, this was a more recent review, because I was looking under recent reviews. So again, I disagree with it. Rather than experiencing the thrill of navigating between star systems or piloting through space, this is exactly what I was just talking about. I will die on this hill, because you don't want to be sitting in your chair for 5 years while your spaceship travels at the speed of light, or nearly at the speed of light. Like, I'm sorry, we'll die on this hill. Given the enormous budget and the overwhelming hype surrounding Starfield, the game plays it far too safe. I don't know, I disagree with that. Feels like the developers focused on size rather than depth or innovation. She's watching my mouse. Look at that. She's watching my mouse go across the screen. There's a lot of content, but much of it feels shallow and lacking in creativity. I disagree. Instead of delivering groundbreaking space adventure, Star feels like a missed opportunity to push the limits of open world gaming. Again, I completely disagree. Sorry, this is just so funny. Oh no, she's gonna attack my screen. We don't want that. No, please don't. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't disagree more. This person makes this game feel like super shallow, and it's not. There's a ton of depth to Starfield. I think, you know, the NPCs, the quests, everything is super cool. The space combat literally makes me feel like I am in a Star Wars movie. So I don't know. So yeah, those are kind of the reviews that I picked out that that I wanted to pick apart. But yeah, overall, I don't completely disagree with all of the criticisms that people are saying. I do think a lot of them are valid. But for the most part, I find Starfield to be an incredibly exciting game. I find the immersion to be top-notch. I wouldn't have written a whole full-length 54,000 word fan fiction if I didn't think that Starfield was really cool and had a lot of depth. So, I will post, make sure to follow me on X for updates on my fan fiction, and this has been my video on my opinions on Starfield, why I think it's a great game, and, yeah, so, again, this is all my own opinion. You might disagree, but this is just how I feel. I love the game, and I'm going to continue playing it. So yeah, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.